Welcome to another episode of the Village Boy Podcast. Today we're talking about football, soccer, football, football, whatever name you want to call it. The beautiful game watched by almost 5.5 billion people. Now I just made that number up because why not? A lot more people get to watch the beautiful game. This summer has been a busy summer for soccer for soccer or football in the United States. They are having the Gold Cup, which is kind of like their African Nations Cup, their European Cup, their Asian Cup. For the North American region, it is the Gold Cup. The MLS, which is a weird football structure, is also actively playing its regular season games amidst the Gold Cup, which is pulling players from the professional teams to get called up into the national teams, as well as the FIFA Club World Cup. Today, our focus is going to be on the FIFA Club World Cup. It has been a disappointment to say the least because the fields have been emptied. The fields have been empty. The stadiums are not full to capacity. It feels like the excitement to see the stars from these teams, because they're not friendly games. This is an engaged tournament with all the stars, and Americans are just not enthused or so excited to go to the fields to see their stars. The arguments on both sides are it's expensive and I guess it's too hot and there's just too much going on with the Trump administration that people don't have the energy to want to go watch a game. But that notwithstanding, we saw this year's tournament bring in four African teams from the continent, four teams from the African continent. And this article captured exactly what I want to talk about. Whether or not Ahly with that experience and Sundown leave the trophy, right? Lift the trophy. Their participation matters for themselves and for those who will take part in future editions of the Club World Cup. I'm not going to go ahead to get into that article, but that's that little caption, that little piece right there is what I want to talk about today about African football. African countries, by far and large, have struggled internationally, be it at the World Cup, at the Female World Cup. But African football is coming of age once we saw the last African Nations Cup in Ivory Coast, viewed by almost 2.2 billion people across the world. The marketing campaign was amazing. The games were at a higher standard with a lot of smaller countries pushing their weight. The Gambia, the Comoros, countries that are not typical household names. But we're going to leave the national team and focus our attention to the professional clubs. The clubs that participated in this year's tournament were Al Ahly of Egypt, Wydad AC of Morocco, Mamelodi Sundowns of South Africa, and Espérance de Tunis. Four powerhouse clubs. And each of these clubs have won the African CAF Championship, the equivalent of the European Champions League. Al Ahly has won it for the most times. Wydad has also won it. Mamelodi Sundowns, I think, won it once. And Espérance de Tunis has also won it. Three of these clubs are Northern African clubs, and one Mamelodi Sundowns is a South African club. There is no Sub-Saharan African team, and this is where I want to have the conversation. If Sub-Saharan countries have the ability to build teams that can rival these four teams. Al Ahly of Egypt, Wydad AC of Morocco, Mamelodi Sundowns of South Africa, and Espérance de Tunis. So my question comes in for if you look at the global index and the richest African countries in terms of economy, these countries are represented in there. Ahly, Egypt has a stable economy driven by natural resources and tourism. And so they have the ability to develop recreational activities like football. Morocco is one of the biggest economies in Africa. South Africa is one of the biggest economies in Africa. Tunisia, not as much. Tunisia, Tunisia, not as much. But Tunisia is organized, is structured. It has a decent economy. So, Nigeria, and I can look it up. I can look it up right now. Biggest economies in Africa. Let's look it up together. Biggest economies in Africa. South Africa comes up first, often listed as the largest economy in Africa with a nominal GDP around 401 billion. Nigeria, a close second with a nominal GDP of 395 billion. Egypt, third. Algeria, fourth. So Morocco doesn't even, but Morocco is going to be up there somewhere. All right. If we go to, let's go to Business Insider to see the top 10 largest economies in Africa. Right. Number one, South Africa. Number two is Egypt. Number three is Algeria. Number four is Nigeria. Number five is Ethiopia. Number six is Morocco. Number seven is Kenya. Number eight is Angola. Number nine is Cote d'Ivoire. Number 10 is Tanzania. And let's go back here and just try to, let's see Statista. Let's look at it to correlate to make sure that we have, because I would think Nigeria is the second. I didn't know that Nigeria is fourth. So African countries with the largest gross domestic product. Again, this is not an economic conversation. It's just so we understand when we drive into the conversation of business and football and why it is successful in some countries and it isn't successful in other countries. So we're looking at this this data right here. All right, let's go back there. South Africa is right here, 403 billion US dollars. Egypt, close second, 380 billion. Algeria, 260 billion. Nigeria, 199 billion. Morocco, 153. Ethiopia, 145. Kenya, Angola, Cote d'Ivoire, Tanzania, Ghana, and they're now in double digits. So we'll go back here, right? We'll go back here, and then we'll try again. I need to look at in terms of GDP. This again, I'm not an economist, so I don't know if this is answering the question that I'm looking for. But let's go back here. Talk Africa. Let's look for credible. Let's see if this covers it. One of these Western organizations, International Monetary Fund. Let's look at. Let's look at Africa. What does it tell us? You see Nigeria, right? And again, this is just not telling me, but I'll go with the first one. I'm sorry, guys. I was just looking for a business insider more so in terms of right in terms of what countries with the largest economies. And like I said, we'll just go with this one, right? We'll go with South Africa, Egypt, Algeria, Nigeria. We're just going to go with this, right? And AI provided us with this. And that's kind of like the picture. Um, Egypt 2023, 2024, they keep fluctuating 2025. In 2025, South Africa looks to be on top. Yeah, exactly. South Africa on top, 419. Egypt 39. So Nigeria has dropped down to third, right? Nigeria has actually improved to third, 268. If this is a current representation, let's go here, right? This is Reddit. I don't know how accurate this is, but let's go back to football since we've distracted ourselves a little bit. This was not the content of the conversation. So we have three North African clubs and one South African club, and let's try to understand about the four clubs. So there were four clubs from Africa featured: Ahly of Egypt, Mamelodi Sundowns of South Africa, Espérance de Tunis, Wydad Casablanca of Morocco, and all four of them have been eliminated at the group stage, failing to advance to the round of 16. Right? But what's the history? Most people are hearing these names for the first time, even Africans, because African football is not even sold to Africans, right? If you're not from those countries, most people have never watched the Mamelodi Sundowns game, not watched a Wydad game, not watched Espérance de Tunis game. So Al Ahly is based in Cairo. It's Africa's most successful club with a record of 12 CAF Champions League. So Al Ahly would be your equivalent of like a Real Madrid or Barcelona or kind of those kind of teams. That would be equivalents that you can relate to. That would be Al Ahly. It's a storied African club. So and they have three in the last 4 years, known as the club of the century in Africa. They have a massive fan base, and you could see that fan base during their games in America. And a strong history in the Club World Cup, securing third place four times in previous appearances. So they've been there before because they're continental champions. And to play in the Club World Cup, you have to have dominated at the continent at some level, right? They have an estimated operating budget of $30 to $35 million annually. I want you to think about this. They have an estimated operating budget of about $30 to $35 million annually. So every year they spend between $30 and $35 million. This is money that most African football federations don't even run on. One club, that's their annual budget. Most African football federations don't run on this kind of money, right? And it's significantly higher than most clubs because that's what they've prioritized. But it's still, it doesn't even compete with teams like Real Madrid, although they are the Real Madrid of Africa in terms of how they've won and dominated Africa and how Real Madrid has dominated in Europe. Real Madrid's budget sits at 1.3 billion. Think about 30 million and 1.3 billion. The 0.3 is $300 million. So the point three is still way past Ahly's budget. Now think about Ahly going up against a Real Madrid at the FIFA World Cup. Just in terms of share structure, the dominance, the intimidation. But football is not about that. Football is about the game played on the field. Right? Sponsors. Ahly has major sponsors that include Etisalat, Vodafone, Egyptian Steel, and the club also benefits from local government support and merchandising, leveraging their massive popularity. Sponsorship for most football clubs has to be private. It is a business at the end of the day. Private sponsorship is what drives these clubs into the heights that they are in. In some other countries, one company sponsors every team. How is that even possible? How do you separate big teams from small teams if one sponsor sponsors every team? Average player salary for Ahly. Top earners usually are between 20,000 to 50,000 US dollars a month. That's a livable wage. Imagine as an Egyptian, you're being paid $50,000 a month to play football and stay at home and eat your mama's food, as opposed to going to somewhere in Finland and getting paid 2 to 3 thousand euros and playing in the winter in a country that is not going to respect your religion, it's not going to see you as a human being, it's going to disparage you, it's going to call you monkey, it's going to disrespect you, never going to have the respect that you deserve. Not saying everybody does that, but it happens. As opposed to playing at home, to people that love you, to people that are screaming at you, 50,000 people screaming at you, shouting your name. You're walking at the streets and people are loving you. But this is what happens when you invest the resources in the right places. Ahly earned $11.6 million in prize money for their group stage participation. So for just participating in this year's FIFA Club World Cup, Ahly goes home with $11.6 million. That's a lot of money. Their operating budget is $30 million. They have won over 40% of their operating budget. Think about it. By just participating in this tournament. Now, if they had gone to the second round, they would have already had their yearly budget covered from the prize money they would have won. And so what happens is they've had some exposure. Now people are going to be interested. Now some people are going to go invest. They have exposed themselves to the international market. People might have seen some players that they like. Foreign teams are going to go there and say, we want to buy this player. We want to buy this player. They're going to be selling players for millions and millions of dollars. This is the exposure you get for being a professional football club, structured like one with the necessary investments. Next up, Mamelodi Sundowns from South Africa, the only team from that's part of Sub-Saharan Africa. Like I said, the other three were all North African countries. South Africa was the only one that represented Black Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa. They're all African teams, but Mamelodi Sundowns is the only one from the bottom of Africa that represented Africa, because every other African team is just now either setting up some kind of structure, and we're going to get to it. Mamelodi Sundowns is based in Pretoria, South Africa. It plays in the South Africa Premier League. It won the CAF Champions League in 2016 and dominating the South Africa Premier League with 14 titles. Known for their dynamic play, they call them the Brazilians of Africa. They earned applause from their performance against Borussia Dortmund. That game went 4-3. And if they had added just 10 minutes, that game would have had a draw. So they played lights out. They played that Brazilian flair, and they dressed like the Brazilian, the yellow and blue shorts and yellow socks, I think. An amazing team with an amazing style of football. They were also knocked out of the first the group stage when Fluminense. I think they had a tie with Fluminense, right? So in their group, it was Ulsan, I think a South Korean team, a Japanese team, some Asian team, and Mamelodi Sundowns. Both of them got eliminated. Their operating budget is estimated at 20 to 25 million annually. They're funded by the billionaire and current CAF president, Patrice Motsepe, right? And they have a gazillion amount of commercial deals, which is substantial, but they're still far below European club. Some of their key sponsors are Puma, ABSA, MTN. Their financial backing allows investment in top talent and infrastructure. They're able to source talent. They even have players coming from Brazil, from all around the whole place, because they're able to pay the salaries of this kind of players. And that elevates them, not to the standard to compete with European champions, but to be able to push their weight and make a name for themselves in Africa. It happens when you're a professional club, you're set as a business, and you see yourself as a business entity, which is something most African countries have refused to do. Average player salaries for Mamelodi Sundowns, top players earn between 15,000 and 40,000 per month. And a lot of the Mamelodi Sundowns South African players are the same players that play in the South African national team, Bafana Bafana. Hence, we can see them make a push in the African Nations Cup, because they play together, they gel together, they understand each other. They're able to dominate countries like Nigeria with all their superstars. A lot of the names in South Africa are only known to South Africans. But South Africans love it that way because they are loved by the people that love them. It's not the same for when you're watching your favorite Nigerian star. You watch him across your TV. You never get to see them play in real life. Sundowns earned 12.6 million, the highest among African teams, due to a group stage win. They had a group stage win, and they earned $2 million per win. So they played good. They got that win, which was $2 million in prize money. So total 12.6 million. If they have an operating budget of $20 to $25 million annually, they've actually already secured almost half of their annual budget. That is something to clap and be proud of. And they can use this money, can go out now and get better players that would be able to push them into African elite games, and we can see them in the next 4 years for the next African club, FIFA Club World Cup. Next up, Espérance de Tunis. Espérance de Tunis is based in Tunis. This is a Tunisian powerhouse, a storied Tunisian team. Tunisians are known for football across Africa, but Espérance de Tunis is a long storied Tunisian team. They have 4 CAF Champions League titles: 1994, 2011, 2018, and 2019. They qualified for the 2025 Club World Cup via CAF rankings after losing the 2024 Champions League final to who else but Ahly. How many Africans, continent of 1.5 billion people, 1.4 billion people, how many Africans actually follow African football? Not up to 5 or 10%. That's a sad number. And Africans are football religious people. But not up to 5 or 10% of Africans follow African football. And this needs to change. They were eliminated in the group stage, unable to overcome strong opposition. They were in a group of death. Espérance de Tunis has an estimated annual budget of $10 to $15 million annually. They have a massive, I think they had the most support, more than Ahly at this year's tournament. They were maybe the only fans in the stands at some time. Sponsorship is limited, unknown, but they cannot compete with European clubs, of course, with 10 to 15 million annually. I said that fast. I take it back. Tunisian Telecom, they have a bunch of local brands, but their sponsorship does not even come close to the likes of Sundowns and Ahly. But they do have some amount of sponsorship. They pay between 5,000 and 20,000 per month for their top earners, right? So it's a step lower than the Ahlys of the world and the Sundowns of the world. They took home 11.6 million. If their annual budget is 10 and they're 11, so they're right there 55 to 60% of their annual budget that they just won by just participating in this tournament. They have now the resources to fortify their team, improve in their infrastructure, and build an academy that can continue to produce the talents that they require to compete at the highest level. If they can manage this money, and besides, if you are at this level, it means that $11.6 million does not impress you. I mean, your budget is $15 million a year. Wydad Casablanca. Wydad is based in Casablanca. It's a Moroccan giant, just the way the other teams are to their respective countries. They have won 3 CAF Champions League titles, 92, 17, and 2022. They qualified through the same ranking, 3rd Club World Cup after winning the 2022 Champions League. They were knocked out of the group stage in 2025. Just weren't able to match the intensity, didn't have the quality at that level. Operating budget is between 15 to 20 million annually. It's a lot of money. Supported by fans, revenue, and local sponsorship. That tells you you need a base. You need a base of fans that have the ability to be able to support. How do fans support? They buy merchandise, they buy tickets. They have, yearly subscription. So it's generational. My father was a Wydad fan. My grandfather was a Wydad fan. I am a Wydad fan. My child is a Wydad fan. We have our booth. We have our section. And we pass it down generation after generation. This is what it's called being, this is what being a fan is all about. A fan is not that I like this player and they're playing for this club and I like the club. That's not what being a fan. A fan is that you support the club. It's generational. It's a belief. It's like a religion. And I don't think that in Africa they're there yet. There's 4 clubs, they're there. And that's why they played the Club World Cup, the FIFA World Cup, Club World Cup. I'm sorry, the FIFA Club World Cup. In the next 4 years, who is going to dominate? My money is going to be in the same clubs because you will need clubs. It's not a one-time win. It's a structure. It's a system. It's a process that most African countries don't have set up. Wydad unfortunately earned 9.6 million, the lowest money, but that's still a lot of money. 9.6, about 35%, 40% of their yearly revenue. That's a lot of money. If they had stayed home, they wouldn't have earned $9.6 million. They can use the $9.6 million and put it back into their structure. to get better, to be able to compete with the likes of Ahly, to be able to compete with the likes of Mamelodi Sundowns. And so, how do we make African football enjoyable? How do we make African football so Africans understand it is a business? It's not a government's responsibility to develop football. It is a business. Africa accounts for only 1%, $300 million of global football sponsorship funds, compared to Europe's billions from TV rights and merchandise. You take a country like Nigeria, you take a team like Simba, the team operates on a budget of 2.2 to 5 million for most Sub-Saharan Africa. I guess that's a lot of money, $2 million. Far below European clubs that are in the billion-dollar valuation. And this is why context matters. When we go back to my previous section about where does Nigeria rank in terms of business, Nigeria is up there second or third or fourth, but they're up in the top of Africa. And Nigeria had no representation in the Club World Cup because Nigeria's story team, Simba, is operating at a budget of $2.5 million. Why would a country like Nigeria, an economic hub, second in Africa, not have professional structures, not have the kind of teams that can compete with the likes of Ahly, with the likes of Sundown, with the likes of Tunis? Because of corruption, and because for some reason the black man is always looking at the white man as they have something better than they do. Because all of Nigerians, about 80% of Nigerians, support either Arsenal, Manchester United, Chelsea, Manchester City, and they go to Barcelona, they go to Real Madrid, and I even see some right now during the Champions League. They had a whole breakdown between those that are Inter Milan supporters and those that are Barcelona supporters or PSG supporters. How can a country of 250 million people not have the ability to have a football team able to be in the position of the FIFA Club World Cup? Corruption, poor infrastructure, government dependencies, lack of accountability, and player exodus. Weak financial infrastructures. Nigerian, Ghana, Cameroon, and this kind of countries, Ivory Coast, Senegal, they are heavily reliant on government subsidies instead of private investment. Instead of looking at the Wydads, the Ahlys, the Sundowns, and say, how have they modeled their team? They're fighting over chop change. Sponsorship that is not going to amount to anything. For a country as like Nigeria, that is a dominant country in the space of football, at least at the national level, Nigeria has one of the most horrific football infrastructures in all of Africa. Let me say that again. Nigeria has some of the worst football infrastructures across all of Africa. Nigeria has not been able to host the African Nations Cup independently for over 30 years. Every time Nigeria has had to host the African Nations Cup, it has hosted it with another country because it lacks the infrastructure. Now, infrastructure can go both ways. It can go independently where the club owns its own infrastructure, or a public-private partnership where the state invests in it and it's lending it out to the clubs and they pay a revenue to the state. So the state can maintain the infrastructure, because one of the biggest problems in Africa is maintenance. The governments are corrupt, weak governors, lack of transparency in football federations. The Nigerian Football Federation, the NFF, some of the most corrupt federations in football. Lack of professionalism. When countries like Nigeria, Cameroon, Ghana qualify for the World Cup, just on the eve of most World Cup games, there's always a bonus role. They're disputing players and not trying to play because they've not paid their salaries. This is typical of Black Africa. You never see this with the North Africans. You don't see this with the South Africans. Sub-Saharan Africans have a problem, a fundamental problem with professionalism, with just doing what you need to do. And that's why we don't see them at the FIFA Club World Cup. It's not magic. It's not skill. It's a process. It's a system. It's discipline, which Sub-Saharan Africa lacks. And you cannot blame this on colonialism. You cannot blame this on the white man. You cannot blame this on anybody but your greedy, unprofessional selves. You have Nigeria. By age 14, there's a player exodus, player drain. All of them are going out. All of them are going out. You have over probably 1 million Nigerian footballers across the globe looking for the next big Victor Osimhen, looking for the next Mohamed Kudus. You don't see that in South Africa. You don't see that in Egypt. You see players in Morocco when they're already matured. And they'll tell you their story plot. They played in Wydad, they went through the ranks, and then boom, you see them. Every now and then, there's an exception. You don't see that in Tunis. When Tunisia plays the African Nations Cup, out of the 11 starters, about 7 play at home. 2, 3 come from outside. South Africa, same. Morocco has a path where the players are mature. They're going up when they're in their 20s, but they've played at home. Kids like Victor Osimhen, John Obi Mikel, Mohamed Kudus. These are guys that never played in Nigeria because there's no league. There's no system. There's a talent drain. And they're shipped abroad. And then Nigeria becomes a foreign country that they have to pick. You're making 100,000, you're making 60,000 euros, 100,000 euros a week. How much are you paying in taxes? If you were making 40,000 euros in Africa, 20,000 euros in Africa, most players would accept that, playing at home, being next to your mom, being next to your dad, connecting with your local fan, speaking your language, being loved by the people that look like you and love and appreciate you. And that's how you build European League, and that's how African teams can push in the FIFA Club World Cup. It's a business. It's not charity. It's not government's responsibility. It's the private sector in partnership with the government. And that's why it's going to be hard to see a Black African country push in this Club World Cup. A country is making a push. We're going to get to them soon. Because I say it's a business, limited Disposable income for people to buy tickets, merchandise, invest in club. It's also a factor. It's a real factor in Africa. And that's why I was looking at the economic outreach of these countries. I'm not looking at poor countries. I'm looking at countries that are sitting first, second, top, third in the African Economic Index. That does not mean that the vast majority of the people are not poor. But I'm telling you that in Nigeria, if you set up a bar and you put 1,000 naira, 2,000 naira for people to pay and watch European football, they will pay. If you put 500 naira, 500 naira, 500 naira for people to get into the stadiums and support the stadium and support their local team, they're not even aware. Some of them don't even know that they have a local team. But poverty is real. And because people are poor, they're not prioritizing investing in a system they think is already corrupt. It's not miracles, it's not magic. It's organization, it's structure, it's a system. You are not going to reinvent the wheel, Black Africa. You will not reinvent the wheel. People are doing it and they're doing it the right way. You cannot cut corners. Ahly has showed you the model. Wydad has showed you the model. Mamelodi Sundowns has showed you the model. Espérance de Tunis has showed you the model. But hey, if those clubs, historic clubs, they're way there, hundreds of years. Mamelodi Sundowns is not that old. But those are the ones that storied historic clubs in their respective countries. Let's go to East Africa, shall we? Let's go to East Africa, shall we? You have a team in Tanzania, Simba. You have another team in Tanzania, Young Africa. Simba, 3.25 million euros. Young Africa, 1.85 million euros. Can Nigeria model from Simba and Young Africa? Yes. Keep Ahly aside, keep the big giants aside. These are babies. These are rookies. Tanzania is a country that nobody knows about international football. Tanzania just started making strides. But they didn't go the route of Nigeria. They said, we're not going to have corruption. We're not going to have a disorganized structure. Have you watched Simba versus Young Africa? Let me see if I could find a game. So you have an idea. Simba versus Young
Simba la Benjamin Mkapa. Hosea Lugano.
This is a derby, a local derby in Tanzania. Look at that stadium. Look at half the field is yellow and gold, and the other half is red and black. This is a 70,000 seater stadium. This is in Tanzania. Can you see this? Are there derbies in Nigeria? Are there derbies in Ghana? I don't know. I need to go check in Ghana, but I know a little bit about Nigeria, right? This is in East Africa. Look at the stadium. Don't worry about the game. Don't worry about the game. This is a local league derby. This right here. How, and they've been to the Champions League quarterfinals a couple of times. They just don't have the weight to push through the Ahly, and they're investing and they're growing. How does Nigeria, Ghana, Senegal, countries with potential, get to the level of at least just the Simba and the young Africa? You don't worry about the Ahly just yet. Just get to the professional level. Get fans. Get specific infrastructure. But well, interestingly enough, Nigeria has a team that is doing just that. And we're going to look at them here shortly. I was just pulling them up right here. Sorry guys. I had them right in front of me. There we go. Remo Stars. Remo Stars is the current Nigerian League champions. I saw them by passing on a YouTube video, on a TikTok video. They have an amazing marketing system. A massive following online on their TikTok page. I was like, wait a minute. What team is this? Caught my attention. They have a soccer field. So who are Remo Stars? Remo opened in 2020 with a capacity stadium of 5,000. This is what I have said about most African football teams. They're playing in 20,000, 40,000 capacity stadiums when they don't even have 5,000 people to fill the fields. You know what 5,000 looks like in a 20 capacity stadium? It looks very empty. Remo Stadium capacity is 5,000. They didn't go greedy. They didn't say, oh, let's put 100,000 stadium in here. Someday we're going to fill it. No, they built something to the tune of their needs in the short term. 5,000. Guess what? That stadium is immediately CAF-approved. They don't have 5,000 fans. On average, 750 people show up to watch a Remo game. So the field is always empty because it's 5,000. So think about the 5,000 people sitting in a 40,000 seater stadium, in a 30,000 seater stadium. We looked at Simba, Young Africa just shortly. That's a 65, 70,000 seater stadium filled to capacity. The tailgate is crazy. Tanzania's capital is shut down on those games. That's a dream of mine, to go to Tanzania and watch one of those games. And I will take you guys with me. When you guys keep liking and subscribing to the channel and I make the money, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to go out there and watch the game. Remo Stadium in Ikeni, I'm surely killing that name. State-of-the-art facility, including high-quality locker rooms, press area, they're thinking about the press, medical facility, and an international standard playing surface. This meets CAF Champions League requirement. A rare achievement in Nigeria where most stadiums are outdated. So the only CAF, I'm thinking the only CAF stadium in Nigeria right now is a 5,000-seater stadium. Nigeria is a disappointment when it comes to infrastructure. Disappointment when it comes to infrastructure. And Remo has qualified. They're probably going to play qualifiers for the Champions League, and they're going to play in their 5,000-seater stadium. I'm hoping, because they don't even have 5,000 fans. And if they grow, I'm hoping that the stadium can be extended, right? You can add to it. They have the land and the resources to build a 20,000-seater stadium, a 30,000-seater stadium, a 40,000-seater stadium. Why not? If they have the capacity to grow. Remo has an amazing youth academy. So they're a 5-year-old team with an amazing uptake for growth. Because of structure, because of organization, they were able to win this year's league title. It doesn't start with year 1, year 2, year 3. But when you watch Remo play, when you watch their structure, you know this is a professional club and this is foreign to Nigeria. You want to talk to me about Iyemba? You want to talk to me about Kano Pillars? You want to talk? I don't care. I want to see a professional club. And I saw Remo. This club was founded in 2004 by billionaire Tsunami. It operates as a privately owned club, free from government mismanagement that plagues many NPFL teams, because those teams are looking for subsidies. Give our subsidies. We haven't gotten our subsidies. They're dependent. And Nigeria has over 100 billionaires. Nigeria has a gazillion amount of businesses that can be the backbone of their football and sponsorship and stop the brain drain, the talent drain of young Nigerian children abroad by investing in local football. Nigeria has the population, 230 million people. Who knows? Maybe there are 300 million people in Nigeria. Remo won the 2024-2025 NPFL title, a historic first for a privately owned club, and Ogun State with 71 points and an unbeaten home record. Of course, who is going to beat you at a state-of-the-art facility? Some of them have never played on such a stadium before. When they come, they're intimidated. Maybe they're playing at night with lights and they cannot play at night. You've already conquered them mentally. Some of them are training on gravel. They can't pass the ball on a carpet, on an amazing grass surface, well trimmed. So just the professional atmosphere is intimidating, and you've created a fortress. Now you have a record to protect, like Liverpool at Anfield. They don't lose at home. They don't have fans because Nigerians are not supporting. The folks from Ogun States are not supporting. They're not investing, for sure. Remo Star generates revenue through match day ticket sales, jersey sales designed by Owun Sports, priced at 10,000 naira, and player transfer to Europe. I watched one of their games. Half the people didn't have jerseys. You can't be a fan when you're going to the field with dashikis and kaftans and senators. No, you wear your team's jersey like we saw in this video right here. Look at this video. Look at this video right here. Let's play this video again so you see how the fans look like. Right? Where's the video? This video right here. Let's play it again. I kept the sound down for copyright reason. And look at the field. Commercials, ad boards, goal, Young Africa. You see that football? Do you see that football? This is not Europe. And they're able to slide. Don't try this in Nigeria. You pull out your knees. Look at that. This is not European football, my people. This is in Africa. Look at that. Look at the panoramic boards. Look at the fans. This is what I wanted you guys to see. Look at the fans. Majority of them are in red and white. All of them are wearing a team's jersey. Yeah, there's this guy here. I don't know. He's wearing a dashiki. He has to be probably a Nigerian or something. Young Africa gave Simba a 5-1 trashing. This is professionalism. This is Black Africans, my friend. This they're showing us that somebody can do it. Economically, Tanzania does not even rival Nigeria or Ghana. But look at them. Look at that quality of football. Right? Let's go back. If this conversation is going to be 3 hours, it would be 3 hours because Africa needs to wake up. In Tanzania, they have a TV deal with Azam TV, a multi-US $1 million TV deal. Most NPFL clubs struggle with minimal broadcasting deals and merchandises. What did Remo do? They built an infrastructure, 5,000 capacity. They have a market where you could go buy jerseys, although the people from Ogun State don't go there and support and buy jerseys. Jerseys should be running out. And I'm going to right now look for the population of Ogun State because we have to know. Population of Ogun State. Let's look at it. The estimated population of Ogun State, Nigeria in 2025 is 5 million people. Oh, sorry, 7 million. Somebody has it here as 3 million. I'm going with AI because they've not done census in so many years. This is a projected increase from the 2002 population of 6.9 million, according to Niger details. Ogun State is the 24th largest state in Nigeria by area and is among the top 15 most populous. Even 3 million people, even if we decided to go with 3 million people, right? Even if we decided that it was 3 million people, their championship winning team has a 5,000 capacity. That field should be full to capacity. But if I go to Ogun State, I'm going to find Arsenal fans and Chelsea fans and United fans. United will never come and play a friendly game in Ogun. Ogun does not even have the kind of facility to attract United. So the average citizen of Ogun, the average resident of Ogun is only going to watch professional football on the television, or unless you're rich and you buy a ticket and go to the UK and watch a game on your TV. But you have a professional club at home that you don't even know of, you don't even support. I've been watching Remo for a very long time, and the max capacity is 750 people that fill out a 5,000 stadium seat. And they're the championship team. So yes, Africans, yourselves, you don't like professionalism. You don't like anything that is done correctly. Because where are the fans? Since 2020, where are the fans? Where are the people that have bought into the message, into the story? If Rema is now qualified to play Champions League, Ahly is going to be coming there. Ahly has more than 5,000 fans, so they're going to fill up that stadium. Rema is going to be playing an away game at home because they don't have fans. Back to my game. Let's watch a few highlights. Look at that cross. Look at that header. You're not touching that. They built a local fan base with 706 average home attendance in 2023 and 2024. 706 in the state of 3 million people or 7 million people. Attendance is 706. And I'm telling you, the bars are full when Chelsea is playing and they're arguing on derbies and they're arguing we're going to buy 60 million for this player where we are buying. We is who? Who is we? We are only Rima. If you're from Ogun State, you are Rima. There's nothing like somebody in Ogun who's, you can like Arsenal, but you cannot like Arsenal more than you love Rima, a state in your home country where you were born. This has to be unchecked, re-educated, and reprogrammed. Where you should spend your money. Where does your son have the ability? And they have an amazing girl team too, your son or daughter. Do they have an ability to go into Rima, or do they have an ability to go first to Arsenal? You know the number of kids that want to get into Arsenal? But they can get into Rima Academy, and you're not supporting the club, you're not supporting the project. Like I said, don't look at Ahly. Look at Simba. Look at Young Africa. Nigeria, you could do it. Ghana, you could do it. Senegal, you could do it. Ivory Coast, vous pouvez le faire. Au Sénégal, vous pouvez aussi le faire. Le Cameroun, je ne sais pas si ça pourrait être fait. Je ne pense pas. Le Cameroun, c'est autre cas. Something else. Cameroon exists only for the national football level. I'm not going to talk about it. But if you cannot professionalize your league, you cannot organize yourself. The team that won the Nigerian 2024-2025 title has a 5,000 capacity stadium that is CAF certified. You don't need your stadium to be 20,000 to be CAF certified. You need your stadium to have certain standards for it to be CAF certified. Rima checked all those boxes. Rima is a professionally run team. All it needs right now for it to be profitable, it needs the support of the country. Nigerians are large. That 5,000 seating capacity should be small. Basic, average attendance is 706. Fans want Nigerian football no, you have to support. It does not happen by magic. Europeans are supporting their football. Europeans, they have all the way to 7th, 8th, 9th division league. Go there, they have supporters. The man and his dog. Go to 2nd division, 3rd division, 4th division, 5th division. They don't play to empty stadiums. They have supporters. And they go from 5th division to 4th division to 3rd division to 2nd division and to the Premier League. They have supporters. You cannot wait. You cannot wait for it to be a professional league before you support it. You have to support it now and ask that to be a professional league now. It's a business. It's not a charity. And if it's a business, it's out to make money. For it to make money, it has to spend money. But you have to have honest participants. You have to have people with integrity, people with the foresight that understand that it's a business and they're not coming out here to steal from the future of the next generation. And this is the problem with Black Africa, why the likes of Ghana are suffering, why the likes of Nigeria are suffering, why the likes of Senegal and Ivory Coast are suffering. Because professionalism is a scarce resource in Africa. Integrity, honesty is a scarce resource. The will to do the right thing is a scarce resource in Africa, in Black Africa. And that's why in this year's edition, we had 4 clubs from Africa, 3 North African clubs and 1 Black African club. And that's a problem. Do you think Black Africans can fix this so that in the next 4 years, we will see a diverse representation of Africa? African clubs would have caught up, not to the Ahlys of the world. There's so much space between them and Ahlys and Wydad, but at least with the Simbas of the Simba and the young Africans of the world. I want to see Remo compete with young Africa. I want to see Remo play in the Champions League and come out of the first round, because they will play other powerhouses that are not, Sudan. Congo has 1 team. Angola has a couple of teams. So there's so much that Africa needs to do when it comes to football to elevate and make African football proud. 1.3 billion people, 1.4 billion people in Africa. And you don't have a football culture. It's the village boy. I rest my case.